Okay, it's great now to have a re-interview with an artist I interviewed last year. We have Jess Moskaluk joining me on my show today, and I have here Jess on my show now. How are you today, Jess? Nice to have you back.
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm wonderful, you know. I'm great. It's so good to have you on. I'm here really to talk about your new single, which is doing the rounds. Last time we had you on was your single Knockoff, which was a year ago. What have you been up to since then?
Yeah, well, a lot. I'm trying to think of what month it was that we had chatted last time, but I think since we've chatted, I went on my full headline tour here in Canada. I finished a Christmas album that's coming out in November. I finished another album that's coming out at the end of this month. Several music videos, several singles. I've been busy. It's been a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to cover a year.
Oh, that's great. Well deserved. You have a new single out doing the rounds. Let's get this right. It's called Not What You Think.
Correct.
And what's the response been like to this single?
So far, so good.
Okay, it's great now to have a re-interview with an artist I interviewed last year. We have Jess Moskaluk joining me on my show today, and I have here Jess on my show now. How are you today, Jess? Nice to have you back.
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm wonderful, you know. I'm great. It's so good to have you on. I'm here really to talk about your new single, which is doing the rounds. Last time we had you on was your single Knockoff, which was a year ago. What have you been up to since then?
Yeah, well, a lot. I'm trying to think of what month it was that we had chatted last time, but I think since we've chatted, I went on my full headline tour here in Canada. I finished a Christmas album that's coming out in November. I finished another album that's coming out at the end of this month. Several music videos, several singles. I've been busy. It's been a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to cover a year.
Oh, that's great. Well deserved. You have a new single out doing the rounds. Let's get this right. It's called Not What You Think.
Correct.
And what's the response been like to this single?
So far, so good. But actually, it's a little bit interesting because we, for whatever reason, flipped the singles. So actually, Not What You Think came out in Canada months ago. And then we put out Heartbreaker. But for you guys over in the UK, we put out Heartbreaker first and then Not What You Think. So the response is weird because this is my second interview day with the UK. So this is really only the second week that song has been out and the second day that I've really chatted with anyone. So I think the response has been good, but it's probably a little early over there to tell.
I'm sure it will work out for you. One of my other questions I'm going to ask you: when did you first know you just wanted to be a musician?
It's so funny. I feel like I don't know that moment really happened. At least as a career musician, I should clarify. So I started singing when I was like maybe 14 or 15 years old. And I never really thought that was going to be my full-time career. I just thought this is the thing that I love to do. It's my hobby. I'll do as much of it as I can. And then suddenly it took over my life to the point where I was like, hey, I have to quit my job. I have to quit school, like university, if I want to continue to pursue this. So it kind of chose me, I always say, because I never just said, okay, today's the day I'm going to be a professional musician. So it kind of just happens to you, I think.
Oh, that's great to hear. Nice to meet someone whose dreams have come true. Can you just tell me a little bit about what the Canadian country music scene was like growing up? I understand, you know, when you were growing up in your childhood, you were from like a small like town in Canada.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what the music industry was like then because I was just growing up. And like I said, I wasn't really into music until I was 14 or 15. So yeah, I'm not really too sure how to answer that question. I could talk about what it was like growing up
Yeah.
as a kid, or I could talk about the music industry, but they never really crossed paths until later on.
Sure. Um,
Yeah,
and where you're from, like the small town, were you not far from, say, the States, like 3 or 4 hours drive from like North Dakota?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think we're about 3 hours north of North Dakota.
Great. Well, onto the music now. Your new single, Not What You Think. I checked out to the official music video as well. It has like a fun element to it as well.
Yeah, it does. I've been working with Andrew Perry for quite a few years, who is the director on that video. And at the time when we put out Not What You Think in Canada, it was one of the problems we run into a lot is that my schedule is really hectic and I don't always have ample time to shoot a music video. So I said, okay, this is the only day that I have in the next 3 months that we can shoot this, and we need to shoot it now while the single is doing well. And I said, but I only have like the afternoon. Like, what can we do with that? And he said, I actually have an idea. So I just went in and I shot just on a blank like studio backdrop wall, just white, everything was plain. And I really had no idea what this video was going to kind of turn into, because what happened next was Andy printed off every single frame. I don't remember, I need to remember how many frames there were, but it was like in the thousands of frames. And they hand drew images, doodles, sketches, whatever. They just hand drew a bunch of animation on there and then re-uploaded everything into the video that you see today. So everything other than me was hand drawn on there. So as much time as we didn't have, it was a really time consuming video. It's just, it didn't require much of my time, but it required a lot of Andy and Zach's as well. And they did such a great job. It's such a cool video.
Yeah, it's very animated, as you said, like a lot of things going on, which
Yeah.
in a positive light. And on the cover version of what Not What You Think, the cover art, it's very intriguing. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I don't remember what the cover art looks like for that one.
I think.
Hang on. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no worries.
I just designed my album art yesterday. And so I'm like, I know what that's so funny. I don't remember at all what this one is.
If I'm correct, there's like a denim jacket on, and there's like
Yeah,
a
that's
cowboy
right.
belt.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, it's a little early over here, and I haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, you know what? There's not really a story behind it. We shot that one on tour while I was on the Map Dot tour here in Canada, and my photographer there wanted to take a stab at the album artwork, and we just thought we would do something a little bit different. And we just thought, it doesn't always have to be just a straight on picture of me. It's the more singles you release and the more music you put out, the harder it gets to do something a little bit different, because you're always wanting to still stay true to you and, still be under that umbrella that is and looks like your brand. So this was just a way that we thought we could have a little bit of fun, and, we didn't want the album to be exactly what you would think, the album artwork to be exactly what you would, just reflect the title of the song. So
That's good. I remember, visiting record shops, and I'd always kind of go for a record where the artwork, the cover art, catches my
yeah,
eye. So yeah, it's really good. It does capture like the country element, the denim and so on. Yeah, it's
yeah,
good. Cool.
it was an actual outfit that I'd worn to a show that night. And yeah, you're not supposed to judge an album by the cover, but that's the first thing you see, so it's pretty tough not
Oh,
to.
that's all right then. So
Yeah.
mention about the music video, the artwork. Going to mention about the tour as well. I know you've done a few festivals over the summer. How was that, like the Cavendish Beach Music Festival?
Yeah, we did Cavendish last summer, but we've done a few other ones in the East Coast this summer. But yeah, we every summer for us over here is really busy. We've got 2 or 3 shows a weekend, just capitalizing on the good weather of this summertime in Canada. So it was a really good summer. We kind of just continued on from what the Map Dot tour was a little bit. We kind of kept that set, because most of the places that we played this summer were not stops that we were able to make on the Map Dot tour. So it was great. It just kind of felt like an extension of that in a way. And we had a really great time. We just wrapped up last weekend, I think, or the weekend before. We wrapped up our summer festival season, and now we're gearing up to come over there for a couple shows.
Yeah, heading into the fall or the autumn, as we British call it. So we are going to talk about your UK tour that's happening any day soon. And what are you looking forward to about this the most? And you got some friends kind of with you as well.
Yeah, what I'm looking to the most is not only seeing some repeat, new fans that we had made over the last year or two coming to London more specifically. I'm looking forward to seeing people again in London, but we're also entering a bunch of new territory that I've never been to. Like, we're doing Manchester and Liverpool and Edinburgh. I've been to Dublin, which we're doing as well, but I've never played a show there. So as much as I'm looking forward to London, I'm also looking forward to playing some new places. And yes, you mentioned that I'm bringing some other people with me this time. So they're all of the artists that is on my record label that I'm signed to. And I don't believe that any of them have played shows over there yet. So I'm really excited to be the veteran, even though it'll only be my third or fourth time over there. I'm excited to bring them with me. They're all so talented, and you guys are gonna love them.
So it sounds like a fun-filled, action-packed night. So listeners, grab your tickets now while you can.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get tickets on my website at www.jessmoskaluke.com. You can get them for any of the shows that we're playing over there.
Great. And I just want to mention as well, in my last interview, you said you grew up like with Shania Twain. She was one of your icons as well. Have you ever had like an opportunity to meet her or maybe collaborate with her at any point?
Yeah, actually, a few years ago at the Canadian Country Music Awards, it was kind of when Shania had really started to, make a comeback, I guess, as much as I hate that word. She really started to start releasing new music again. And she was hosting the Canadian Country Music Association Awards that year. And so they had asked a few female artists to do a tribute to her. And I was one of those artists that they had reached out to saying, I think Shania would really love it. And so I not only got to work with Shania, but I got to work with Shania singing one of Shania's songs in front of Shania. And I remember we went to the dress rehearsal the day before, and I was opening the entire show. They had me singing Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and it was like dark and silhouetted, and I start singing and then the lights come on, and so it was like a really big moment, and I was pretty nervous. And we went to the dress rehearsal and we're all kind of like, is Shania gonna show up? Like, probably not, but she did. She was there the whole time, and she worked alongside us each girls. And she the thing that I remember the most about it was how much time she took with each of us, and how much of that time she took to really encourage all of our individual strengths. She really, although we were singing her songs, she's like, do whatever you want with them. Do what you would have done with this song. Like, she wanted us to shine through as artists more than her own music. And, they say don't meet your idols, but if your idol is Shania Twain, meet her, because that was very powerful.
Incredible. My final question for you as well. You are doing so marvelous on, Spotify. The figures I checked for last year were incredible. So your numbers on how many people listen to your music at the moment is astronomical. What is that feeling like?
It's so funny, because that's one of the areas. It's nice to hear you say that. Thank you for saying that, because that's honestly one of the areas that I'm constantly saying, how can we get those numbers up? Like, so I guess I don't take the time the way that I should to sit back and reflect on how well we're doing, because it's such a fast moving, forward moving industry that, you never get to just sit back and be like, man, I'm doing well. Even if you are, there's always, there's always better. So there's always more. So I would love to speak to that feeling, and maybe that's what I'll do later on today. I'll kind of reflect on some things and just appreciate how far we've come, because in all of that movement, sometimes you don't take the time to really appreciate it. And unfortunately, I didn't with those numbers. And you're right. Like, I look at those numbers and I see, man, we could get those higher. We got to play more shows. I got to get better at promoting things. I got to be more on TikTok. I got to do more of this. And I don't. So you're right, though. They are crazy numbers. There's hundreds of thousands of people that listen every month, and that's really amazing. And yet I want more.
Oh, brilliant. Well, you're doing a brilliant job anyway. And also me to say is just to ask you to introduce your new single on my show. So my name's Danson, and this is just the Danson radio show.
Awesome, sure. You just want me to introduce the song? Is that what you said?
Yeah, please, go for it.
Sure. This is Jess Moskaluke, and you are listening to my brand new single, Not What You Think, on Danson Radio.
Thank you very much for talking to me again, Jess. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me back.